It's showtime, folks. Welcome in Chase and Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game. A little bit later on this Monday, noon to 3 today, 3 hours. We'll do this again tomorrow. And Big Joe had a prior speaking engagement before we made this change. So he is speaking to the Waffle College. Dr. Crane is here on the ones and twos. Nick Frazier, what's up?
Hi, Chase. Haven't seen you in a while.
I know it's been a minute. So
How you doing, man?
And I didn't even say hi, so I apologize. So
You're good.
Good to see you.
Good morning.
And we are pleased to have our usual Monday guest at 10 a.m., Brett Kern, former Titans punter, in studio with us. What's up, Brett?
It's good to be here.
Yeah, man. Glad you could do this. We'll talk some Titans and different things. You're rocking the Oilers today.
I am.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, you know,
it's probably one of my favorite throwback logos.
It is. I have said, and I don't know if we've talked about this or not, that the NFL, as much as they love to make money, should do a actual throwback weekend where everybody throws back. The refs throw back.
Ooh, I mean,
old like they wear the old stripes, like you have the old NFL shield, like just everything. The networks can do it. NASCAR has made a killing on it because they do it every year at Darlington. The NFL would totally clean up doing it.
I think that would go better than the Color Rush.
Yeah, right. Get rid of Color Rush and do throw. You could do that on. I mean, I have heard that was talked about of doing that on Thursday nights, but I think just do a full weekend of it where you basically tell every team, hey, do a home and away version and we'll alternate years.
They pick the year?
Yeah, they could. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I like it. I love it. I love it when teams do throwbacks.
And with the Titans, I would be cool with, you could do the Oilers one year and you could do the Titans,
bring back the white helmets.
The old school look that I grew up on, that, you played in for a long time. Do that too. Yeah. I mean, but I think, and you obviously have some teams like the Cowboys and the Chiefs that probably wouldn't change, but Houston, I know, is a newer franchise, but they've done a uniform change, so they could throw back, a little bit. So I think it would be a cool thing to do.
I'm with you 100%.
All right, good.
Yeah,
we're in agreement on the first thing. I'm going to throw out our question of the day. Brett's going to be in studio with us for the first hour. Big Joe will be in sometime in the second hour. But our question of the day is as follows: which franchise, this includes the Oilers, franchise rookie quarterback record does Cameron Ward have the best chance to break? 3,338 passing yards. Can you guess who holds that?
I know Marcus was really close, or he was on pace to.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt.
Right.
But I know he was chasing Warren Moon.
It was Warren Moon.
Okay.
Yep.
It's Warren Moon?
Yep.
Okay.
It is Warren Moon.
All right.
Marcus's name is going to come up a lot in this discussion.
Yeah.
19 passing touchdowns in a season. That is Marcus.
It's Marcus. Okay.
That is Marcus.
I'm just going to say Marcus first.
Yeah. 371 passing yards in a game.
That's Marcus.
That was Marcus. That was at New Orleans. That was at New Orleans that year when Wisenhunt had gotten fired and Malarkey had taken over.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
4 passing touchdowns in a game.
Marcus did that opening game against Tampa.
He did that opening game against Tampa and at New Orleans.
At New Orleans. There you go.
4 touchdowns. Will Levis also did it in his first start.
Falcons.
Against the Falcons.
There you go.
That was DeAndre Hopkins had 3 of those.
Yes.
In that game. And then 62.2 completion percentage, which was Marcus.
Okay.
So of those 5,
right,
what do you think Cam Ward that has the best chance of doing?
Probably the completion percentage. I think he can get that. I think that seems like the most attainable.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that one first.
Okay. I said that one too.
Okay.
I also think 19 passing touchdowns is doable because I feel like with this offense, they're going to have him throw the ball.
I think, well, that brings into 371, but that's a lot of yards.
Yeah. I mean, in one game.
Maybe. I'd be curious to see, if somebody like CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels, if any of those guys clipped 371 at any point. My guess is Caleb Williams is a no.
That's a really good question. I should have looked that up, but let's see. So Stroud in his rookie year, 23.
I feel like he had.
His second game he had 384.
Was that his highest last year? probably
in 2023. Yeah. His
So
rookie year.
371 that's
Who else you say?
well, I said Stroud. Well, I don't think Caleb Williams got that.
Probably not.
Trying to think if there's anybody else. I'm just trying to put it in comparison. Kind of really how hard 371 is.
Caleb had 363.
Okay,
as his highest, so he was close.
So
that
it could happen, but I don't think that's. I think we're going to go with completion percentage.
Okay, I like that. 371 is certainly possible.
It's possible, but that's just to let people know that that's hard.
615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHoney.com. So you can vote on this. I put it out on X or Twitter about an hour or so ago at Chase on Game, and we retweeted it from 1025 The Game. Let's see. A couple of Big Joe even weighed in. He said, number one, most talked about draft pick in the history of Nashville Sports Talk Radio. He thinks he could break Warren Moon's season record.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jonathan says if he plays from day one, I like his chances at over 19 touchdowns.
I agree.
I mean, I don't even know if he has to, because Marcus didn't play then 16 games.
Correct.
That year. He played,
I think 12 or 13, I think.
Yes. He missed 4. So yes. So 12. Because he missed Atlanta at Houston in the middle of the season. So October, November. And then he missed the last 2 games of the year. Is that when he got?
I mean,
is that when he broke his?
That was against Jacksonville.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, you got to look, 3,400 yards, right?
Yeah.
If you could play all 17 games, that's shade under 200.
Yep. I mean, Marcus. The ironic thing is that year, Marcus threw over 300 yards twice. 367 against Indy here, which was a loss. And then the 371 at New Orleans, the win in overtime.
Yeah, we only had 3 wins that year.
That's right. Yeah,
sorry to bring that up. To a great start at Tampa. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking at 195, 200 yards a game passing, that's obtainable. I think it just depends on how many games he can get in his rookie year.
By the way, the NFL, I don't know what they were doing that year because you guys started on the road 2 games at Tampa, at Cleveland, and then had 4 in a row at home.
Yeah, the NFL schedule sometimes can be quite. The one I don't understand and the one I don't like is like when we used to play Indy and then you got a week where you play somebody else and then you played Indy again.
Yeah.
Or you play Houston and then you play them 2-3 weeks later, and it's just you just felt like you just played them, right? And so they did that. I feel like they've been doing that the last couple years. 3-4 years where they're cramming in,
especially at the end of the season.
At the end of the season, right?
Let's see. Matthew in Nashville must be a Steelers fan. I don't know if he'll break any records, but he's not touching Big Ben's 14 wins record. I don't think so. Not with this team.
Big Ben came into a pretty good situation.
He did.
Yeah.
I mean, he did. That was
good for him though.
That was a fun year to watch.
Yeah.
Dustin in Hopkinsville says if he has 371 yards in a game, he'll also get 4 touchdowns in a game. That's probably fair.
That's a good, yeah.
He also said, watch him take Moon's number and break Moon's sack record, 47. I hope not.
I still can't get over David Carr's. That's just
76. Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
That had to take a toll on his body because Dave didn't play very long, did he?
No, I don't think so. I'd have to look this up. Brandon from Spring Hill. What about the franchise rookie record for fewest interceptions? Wonder who has that. Let's see. So Marcus had that year because I have it. He threw 10, so 19 touchdowns, 10 picks.
Okay,
in 12 games.
I mean, I think you'll be able to tell, the first quarter of the season, those first 4 games, kind of what Callahan's trying to do, right? Are we taking deep shots because you got some threats now? You're trying to keep everything in front of you, not necessarily check down routes, but concepts where, you're only throwing 5 to 10 yard routes, right? And you're moving the chains that way between running the ball. So I'd be curious to see how they come out with Cam, obviously, and what kind of offense they're going to run and what they're going to do for him to get that completion percentage. My guess is they probably want 65 to 70%.
Yeah.
And so what are you doing to help complement that?
Did coaches talk about like how an interception comes to be? Like if it's a guy, like if it's not on the quarterback, if the
Right.
receiver
Yeah.
bounces off his hands,
Yep.
or he runs the wrong route or something like that,
Right.
or if it's late in the game and you're trying to get a big chunk play and it's just, hey, you're throwing it up there and
Yeah.
trying to make a play and the DB makes a better play. I mean, does that go into account when coaches are reviewing film?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you could have an interception that you're throwing at the end of the half, in a Hail Mary type situation. Like,
Yeah.
that's what you're asked to do. Right. And so obviously we know how much of that play is just there's actually, on Saturdays and walkthroughs, we go through that play. We went through that play of like, hey, this is how we want to set up. We need 2 guys here, 2 guys here, and we need one in the back, kind of in the Commanders and the Bears.
Oh yeah.
Right. That last play. And there was the Bears receiver all alone in the back. Well, the goal is we're going to try to tip that back to you and hope nobody sees you.
Yeah.
Right.
Cause the DB,
Right. So even that play has gone through to immense detail.
Yeah.
And we practiced it every Saturday.
Yeah.
Because you never know. But so I mean, you have that type of situation. You might have a receiver not coming back to the ball, right? And the DB makes a break on it because he's watching the quarterback's eyes. There's some that could go on the quarterback. There's some that can go on protection. There's some that can go on a receiver getting called out in a team meeting because he was supposed to run a 15-yard route and instead he only ran 12 or 13, right? And it gave the DB a better angle to pick it off. So every interception is analyzed pretty heavily.
He is Brett Kern in for Big Joe for the first hour, 615-737-1025. Our question of the day: what franchise rookie record does Cam Ward have the best chance to break? The passing yards in the season, which is held by Warren Moon at 3,338. 19 passing touchdowns held by Marcus Mariota. 371 passing yards in a game held by Marcus Mariota. 4 passing touchdowns in a game held by Will Levis and Marcus Mariota, and a 62.2 completion percentage also held by Marcus Mariota. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Cam Ward was on the field for the first time in rookie minicamp. We'll talk about that. Coming up next, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
competition has kind of been the buzzword surrounding everything around here, especially the quarterback position too. How much do you embrace that, given the journey that you've had in terms of having to come in here and earn the job?
I always embrace competition. I didn't know that was a buzzword. That's what people are saying. Everybody's really muted on my phone, so I always compete in everything I do with myself, the other quarterbacks, receivers. Anything we're doing, we compete. So it really don't bother me. At the end of the day, it's a job. So that's how you got to approach it. You got to get your work in early in the morning, late at night. So it's every day for me. I do the same stuff every day, and I just try to get better.
That was Cam Ward on Saturday, chasing Big Joe. Brett Kern in for Big Joe for the first hour. And every time I listen to him answer questions like that, I like him more and more, because that was the perfect answer. But look, I think we know that, yes, they're saying this is a competition. It is a buzzword because that's what the coaches and the organization saying, when we all know that it probably isn't a competition.
I mean, I've been a part of competitions where you have 10 punts in a punt period and 7 go to me and 3 go to the other guy.
Yeah.
Right. But it's a competition.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like, you can't go out there and just,
but he's saying he's saying all the right things. I was fortunate, to be at the facility this weekend and got to meet him. And I mean, he's, everything is advertised. Polite, looks you in the eye. Firm handshake. I know it doesn't seem like much, but that's a great start in my book. And he's saying all the right things, and he's a competitor. To go from where he went, from Incarnate Word, Washington State, finishing out at Miami. I mean, that's not easy as a quarterback, to be going from school to school to school, and everywhere he's gone, people have gotten better.
Yeah,
he's gotten better. And so now, what is it going to be like in the NFL? Where, I mean, this is his job. This is, like he said, early in the mornings, late at night. This is what he does. And so how will we make everybody else better? I
think him bouncing around like he did actually might help him in this situation. And I know Brian Callahan said that, especially for a quarterback, going to different systems. And I know he had some of the same coaches, I think, from Incarnate Word to Washington State, and, same terminology and things. But it helps that he's getting to know new teammates and comfortable in that kind of setting. So I kind of like that. And I think maybe that's one of the advantages of this whole transfer portal world that we're living in, that these guys are kind of used to that. Once they come into the league, it's like, hey, yeah, we've done this before. So and it shows that he's been able to pick up the offenses pretty quickly. And that was another thing that came out of rookie camp that you can tell he's been studying. Like, they gave him the playbook before the draft, and he's been in the playbook, really looking at things. So
I mean, that's the main part of rookie minicamp, is we're going to throw some stuff at these guys. We actually get to see them on the field, right? I mean, they're in shorts, t-shirt, helmet.
It was a lot of one-on-ones too.
A lot of one-on-ones,
I thought was
but
good.
You get to see a lot of these, especially a lot of these undrafted kids, right? Maybe that you've watched a little bit of film on them, the scouts have, right? But to actually see them in person, going against each other and competing, but also, hey, we're in meetings for a while. We're going to throw some stuff at you. We're going to throw some install, some basic stuff. All right, let's go out to practice. Let's go through a walkthrough. Everybody's going to make mistakes, right? But who's making the mistake the second time, the third time? Who's able to correct the mistake quickly on the field? And really, I mean, that's what rookie minicamp is to kind of start separating the guys mentally, and to be able to watch them physically of what they're doing on the field.
So you said, were you there Saturday?
I was there Saturday after their practice. We just did now they don't do the symposium anymore.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good thing. And so the Titans had myself, Dr. Dyson Bullock, the Freak, myself, and Delaney.
Nice.
And they just had like a little sit down panel, and really just to explain to the rookies kind of our stories, really, because you have 3 first-round draft picks in a row, right? You have Delaney, who was a 6th-round pick, who played special teams for his first 6 years before he came here and got paid to be a tight end.
Yep.
And then myself, who's, undrafted free agent. I had 1 workout with the Browns, no combine, nothing. And to be able to play as long as I did. So really you had guys all from different areas of where they've been playing. But our theme was the same, really, to explain to them, how to be a pro, to create habits, healthy habits, how you're taking care of your body, this is your job. And getting in the playbook and kind of what's going to separate the guys that make the team and don't. And I gave my special team spiel of how important special teams is. So it was a good time. So
yeah, and I'm curious because the thing with Vrabel always preached special teams.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he was all about that. If you're not willing to play teams, you're probably not going to make this team. And I think Callahan's done that a little bit, but maybe not to the extent that we saw with Vrabel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember, having a conversation with, Craig Ackerman and remember watching Nick Westbrook-Akine down punts, like plus 50 punts, right?
Yeah.
And needing somebody that can have sure hands, that can catch it, that's not going to let it bounce and be susceptible to wherever it's going to go, right? And I just remember having a conversation like, hey, like this guy's got some hands.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I think it would help to give him some of these reps in the preseason because I feel like he would be the best one at downing these punts. And here's an undrafted guy, right?
Right.
Those conversations are had. Guys will make the team, not make the team based on, hey, if this guy can only play kickoff, right? But this guy can do all core four, we're going to keep the guy that can play all four.
Right.
Right. But understand, I told him, I was like, look, 99% of you in this room are going to play special teams. The only guy that's not is Cam.
Yeah.
And even Cam might be asked to hold at times, just to make sure, because you never know, right? So, just trying to tell them how important special teams are. And there's probably gonna be 2 or 3 guys that are in that room that make the team just based off special teams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, Derek Mason is a prime example of that, of a guy that, maybe he thought he should have had his shot sooner,
right?
But he got really, really good at being a returner and stuck at that for a few years. And then ultimately, when they had to give him a chance, he got it.
Right.
And he made the most
Well,
of
I mean,
it.
that's
So,
what Delaney Walker was saying.
Yeah.
And I look at somebody like, Zaire Franklin in Indy, the linebacker.
Yep.
That dude was a beast on special teams. And then now it's like, hey, you've seen our system on the defense. We feel confident. You never know. Somebody gets hurt, he goes in, and now he's a starting linebacker and is getting paid starting linebacker money.
The thing with Cam that kind of came out from the weekend, I saw TD tweeted this out, that there was a rep that he had with Io Manor that it was a bad ball. I think it was underthrown. And as Io Manor came back, to the huddle, Cam said, hey, let's run that again. Let's make this rep count.
Yeah.
And I read that and was like, that's leadership. That's what I want the young quarterback to do. Now, you can't do that every time. Sometimes It is what it is. But in this setting, you can. I thought that was really good that he did. A coach didn't have to tell him, hey, run that again. It was him going, hey, let's do this again.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that shows you that he cares.
He does.
He wants to get it right, especially when they have this extra time to be able to work on these things.
And this is the time, to do it. You don't really know much too. Like Cam, I think also understands, the depth chart of who's going to be getting reps. Like who's he going to be getting reps with? And that's the whole, the whole Restrepo thing. It's like, well, I don't know how many reps they're going to have together, right? And so I think he understands, like, hey, this is rookie minicamp. I'm only going to have so many opportunities to be able to redo a rep because, you come to vets there and all that kind of stuff. That's not going to happen, right? If he wants to replay that rep, they're going to have to do it after practice, which I'm sure, honestly, he'll be like, hey, let's get over here. Let's run these routes and let's be on the same page here.
How much would, like, obviously there's what we see, like when we're at practice and stuff. And then there's a lot of stuff we don't see that, gets worked on behind the scenes. Do you think the coaches, while Restrepo is an undrafted guy, they want these drafted guys to get their reps and to work out? But I mean, could they work him in just because they know the chemistry is already there and they know, hey, we might actually get some production here. So let's see what he can do at the NFL level, especially like in a preseason game.
Right.
Could you see them maybe forcing him in there a little bit more just because he has the history?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing too is, I'm sure come camp, right, you're going to have your vets get rest days. Right. And so, if Ridley's getting a rest day, Lockett's getting a rest day, maybe Jefferson, I'm not, 100% sure on that. But, that's the opportunity when those vets get those rest days. That's when Restrepo is going to get his reps with the ones, right? And obviously, I mean, why not? Why not get him in there? There's going to be other guys too that are going to get the opportunity to get those reps as well. And here's the other thing on Restrepo is, like, if he goes out and does well enough, there's also, it's the practice squad. If he can,
sure.
if he can be on the practice squad for a year or two, right? And still get reps with Cam or just be in the building and being on the practice field. It's not necessarily, I think people might think, well, he needs to go out there and be a day one starter. He's gonna make the team. Well, maybe, but there's also the opportunity to be on a practice squad for a year or two and learn that way. And so, I mean, that's also another option, but I think they'll work him. They have a plan,
Right.
And they'll be able to get him in and get reps when the time's right.
My fear is, though, I mean, because I thought about that too. Like, well, yeah, you could just make the practice squad. I don't want to see a repeat of LeGarrette Blunt trying to sneak him down. You were there. I mean,
yeah, LeGarrette and who was the tight end? Jack Doyle, who went to Western Kentucky.
Yeah, Jack Doyle, and then
he went on to
Colts.
Indy and played there for 7-8 years and was pretty productive. Yeah, I mean that happens. Especially if it's hard because you're trying to get guys out there in preseason to get reps, and then all of a sudden you have a guy that just goes out there and balls out, and you're thinking, man, how are we going to keep him, right?
Right. So where does he fit?
Kind of have to cut him, but then if we cut him, we're susceptible to, obviously another team picking him up. So, there's that chance, but that's a chance you take.
In keeping with the receiver conversation coming up next, I'm having a hard time, picking 6 to make the roster outside of the obvious.
You think it's
ones.
More than 6? Are you trying to find the 6th or the?
I'm trying to find the 6th. Really, 5, 6, 7 is where I'm kind of struggling right now. So I want to get your thoughts on kind of what I have it looking like today in May as we go into OTAs and all of that. Brett Kern is in for Big Joe for the first hour. We're broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
Xavier Restrepo out of your wide receiver group?
You know, Xavier's been a really productive college player. I mean, you look at all the names of receivers that have played at the University of Miami, and he's at the top, which is impressive. He might not necessarily be the biggest or the fastest player that's probably ever come out of Miami, but he's been incredibly productive, and he's found ways to play football the right way. So he'll start out as a slot player for us, and he'll have every chance to compete just like everybody else will. But you look at his production and what he's done as a football player, and he puts himself in pretty good position to be competitive. And even though he didn't run the fastest time in the world, I'm excited to see what he can do.
So the 40 time wasn't that big a deal for you guys?
I mean, it all matters. Yeah, I mean, it matters. But I think you see the football player and you see the speed that he plays with when he plays. I wouldn't have thought that would have been the time that he ran. But you know, that's how you go from a potential draft pick to being an undrafted free agent at the end of the day. And he's got a lot to prove, and I'm excited to see him do it.
Cam, did you end up seeing a lot more of him than maybe you would have?
Yeah, of course. I mean, watch a lot of tape on Cam, and you see all the plays that Xavier made over his career, particularly this past year. You know, all the players on that offense, we had a little bit more familiarity with just because of the nature of how much film you watch when you're evaluating a quarterback. And then you got a chance to be exposed to him at the pro day. And then again, he was there for the private as well. So those guys, you know, Arroyo, the tight end, and a couple of those other guys that have signed other places, we had pretty good familiarity with those players.
That was Brian Callahan over the weekend talking about Xavier Restrepo, the Titans undrafted free agent wide receiver. Chase McKay, Brett Kern with you here on this Monday. Dr. Crane behind the glass. You may be tuning in going, wait a minute, where's DVD? This is not DVD. We did a little switcheroo today, so they were on 9 to noon. We're on noon to 3. And then Jake Lyman and Derek Mason will be on 3 to 6 this afternoon, as Jared is on vacation this week. He'll be back at the end of the week, so switching things up a little bit. I'm glad you could come hang out.
Glad I could be here.
Yeah, man. So Xavier Restrepo obviously factors into things, and I think it's great that they invited him in. But when I look at the receiver group right now on May 12th, before OTAs and all that stuff, training camp, there's still some free agents out there, even though Teron Davenport said earlier when he was on DVD that he didn't think they were going to bring anybody else in because I got
Cooper's out there.
Yeah, Cooper's
Keenan
out
Allen.
there, Keenan Allen.
Okay.
I mean, but you look at the roster right now, there's
Right. So you
12.
said, so you think they keep 6?
I think 6 is probably the safe bet, maybe 7 if there's a special teams guy that, you know, that's,
Yeah.
but I mean, they could also carry 3 quarterbacks. I mean, there's,
Right.
you know, there's a lot to kind of factor in there. Plus, you know, do you kind of look at it? You mentioned the whole practice squad thing.
Right.
You know, at the end of training camp, do you go, well, look, if we try and sneak Restrepo to the practice squad, he's going to get claimed. But if we
who
try
can
and
slip, Who can
Bryce
slip through the
Oliver,
cracks.
yeah, right. So,
Right.
I mean, a guy may not make it because, you know, you can probably sneak him through
Right.
and have a better chance of
So
doing
you
it.
have 4 for sure. I'm assuming
Ridley, Lockett, DK,
Two-
Io Manor.
your 2 4th-round picks, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
like,
So
so I have
then, where do you put Traylon?
Traylon right now,
He can start on the pup.
I think he starts maybe on the pup list.
Okay.
Unless they get into training, like at the start of training camp, he's cleared and it's like, okay, let's see what he has. But my thing is, I just need the kid to stay healthy. Like, I mean, I feel like he's shown flashes so many times,
Right.
but then he gets hurt.
Gets hurt.
And, you know, that is what it is. That's not all on him. That happens. But
Because you
that-
can't. I mean, you're looking at if you're just saying get rid of him, right? Then that's what 4. What does Spotrac say? 4.5 in dead
Yeah,
cap,
right.
And if people are saying get rid of Will Levis, there's another almost 4.5. So now you're looking at 9 to 10 million in dead cap
Right.
that you can't spend.
Now, I think
Fuck me.
Levis, I mean,
Well, I mean, the Saints.
do you call this? I mean, is
Derek
he
Carr,
better
I mean,
than
Pittsburgh? Do you know Pittsburgh?
Well,
I mean,
I think Rodgers.
Is he in a cave
I
trying to
think-
figure out if he wants to go to Pittsburgh or not, or what?
I think that's going to happen, but I don't know. Maybe. I mean, do you do that? Yeah, thank you, Braves.
They're just showing Braves on
Is
Pat
Braves up there?
McAfee. He's got the pad on, taking on blocks, shocking and shedding on him.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
That so I don't know. I mean, you could call New Orleans, see if they're interested in Levis. But the thing with Burks is if he can stay healthy and be productive, then yeah, he's probably in the top 4.
Okay. So let's just say he starts on the pup.
Okay. So he doesn't count.
He doesn't count,
Van Jefferson, you've brought in for not a lot of money.
right?
I don't really know what he has left in the tank. I don't think a whole lot,
Okay.
but he's here. So is he better than the 2 4th-round guys? Is he better than Restrepo? Is he better than Bryce Oliver? I don't know, but maybe he's the 5th.
Okay.
And then you basically have
You have your special teams wide receiver spot for 6th.
right, which is 6. And that to me is
That's a toss up because
Oliver-
you have Prosh who came.
Yeah.
They just signed him, and he's
Right.
a punt returner.
right. So he's a
Right.
good, he's in the mix. Jaquan Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
who they drafted last year, who I thought was
Dowell.
okay.
Dowell's
Dow-
a big body
Colton
receiver.
Dowell,
Yep.
right? So you basically had Mason Kinsey, who's I think this is his 18th training camp with the team, something like that. So I
But
mean,
but he's Mason's a dog. He's
I know that's why
he is
like
a grinder. And
he's still around. Like he's
Yeah.
So you essentially have like 5 guys fighting for one spot, maybe 2.
right.
You
And
know,
like
if
I
you-
said, it's the more you can do, right? So
Right.
who can play multiple spots at the receiver position, outside, slot, whatever you want to put him at. And then to me, that last spot is a special team spot. Who's the receiver that can play maybe return punts? If not, you can play core 4.
Yeah.
You can run down there on kickoff. I mean, the wide receivers will go through, tight ends, they'll all go through the tackling drills, right? In the circuits. Who can tackle, who can run, and who can play that core 4 spot.
And tight end is going to play in the receiver too, because how many tight ends do you want to carry? We've kind of seen them go heavy at tight end because they usually have one that kind of plays the H-back,
Right.
fullback kind of role. So you got Gunnar Helm, who they just drafted, who I'm really excited about. David Martin Robinson, who was a camp darling last year, made the team and then didn't really do anything. Odakoya has been around for a while, the last couple of years. Chig, Josh Wiley. So, I mean, that's
It's a young group.
5 going into camp
Mm-hmm.
right now. And, the Titans are notorious for finding the big H-back guy usually later and adding
Right.
them before camp. So,
Right.
because I don't really know who that is at this point. I mean, Helm can block, he can catch, he can kind of do those things, but the tight end battle is going to be probably the one that's going to be watched a lot
Right.
because a lot of people don't really consider Chig to be a true starting tight end. I mean, I might be one of them.
Right.
So it's just, can Helm get adapted quick enough to take that spot? Is he even good enough to take that spot? Or is there still work to be done with the tight end?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously that's going to weed itself out come training camp,
Sure.
preseason. But like I said, that last spot, it's like Julius Chestnut, Mullins type battle. You might obviously some other guys in there, but the special teams is going to come into a huge play. Usually, when you're looking at that 6th receiver, maybe that 3rd tight end, maybe 4th tight end, but usually 3rd, that last running back, 3rd or 4th running back, it's just who can play special teams. And it's the same thing on defense, right? Who's the corner that can kind of play multiple spots, but is going to start on special teams, right? Who can be a gunner? Linebacker, who are your linebackers that can go out there and on punt return and punt and protect? And then the kickoff isn't obviously, with the new rules and all that stuff, you're not running down there trying to blow people up. But now you're looking at Bones is looking for different types of bodies on kickoff, right? Because it's now everything's just short space, tight space. You're in a phone booth trying to win your one-on-one and go make a tackle pretty quickly. So those last spots, I mean, they come down to who can play special teams.
I think I'm really excited about special teams because of Fossil.
He puts, obviously for him, obviously with Stonehouse and once again, that's what Stoney was due money wise and what you're getting Hecker for. There's financial implications for that.
Yeah.
But how Johnny punts, he's directional. He's going to put hang time on it. You're going to see a lot more fair catches. It's going to look different than obviously what Stonehouse did. But that's what he likes, right? Some guys, hey, go ahead, bomb it. We're going to get the guys to go cover it, do your thing. Other guys are like, hey, man, we need you to put it here. We need you to put it here. And I'm going to build, especially my punt team, around covering those types of punts.
And I think they had, didn't they have Jesse Mirko from Vandy? I think he was here this weekend.
Was he?
Yeah, I think I heard that somewhere.
I didn't see the list of all who was there for the mini camp this weekend.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I know you're allowed, obviously some local guys.
Yeah, and I mean, did you like that? Obviously, when they brought Stoney in, that didn't work out.
that wasn't great. But
But I mean, did you like having somebody else that you could compete with?
I mean, no, but I knew that like that's what was going to make me better.
Right.
Right. If there's nobody to compete with, like I said, I think in shows prior, like complacency can set in, and that's dangerous in the NFL.
Yeah.
Real dangerous, because if you're not where management thinks you're supposed to be, right, then they'll just find somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, because I know every year, like I'd go and when thing like when you were there and then there's been a few years of kicker battles and stuff,
Right,
but it's
yeah.
like they bring in this like, who is this guy from?
But I'm so competitive that, like, even though I knew, whether it was a couple weeks of punting and I knew that I was better than him, I still, like, I did not want to lose
Yeah.
the session.
Yeah.
Right. So if I got 6 punts and he got 4, like, I was not going to lose.
Right.
I was
And
not going to lose. And it just makes you better.
I do remember we were there broadcasting and you and I chatted for a second, and then the punter, you guys were right in front of us, and I saw Stoney punt it for the first time, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah. No, trust me. I saw him punt it for the first time, and I think I, got done with practice, and I texted my wife, and I was like, this is going to be a grind for going into year 15. This is going to be tough. So.
Yeah. Brett Kern we're glad he's here for sure. But after a great career, he's hanging out in the studio with us today for the first hour. We'll get back to our question of the day, which is, if Cam Ward, what franchise rookie quarterback record does he have the best chance to break? 3,338 passing yards, 19 passing touchdowns for the year, 371 passing yards in a game, 4 passing touchdowns in a game, or a 62.2 completion percentage for the year. We'll do that. Plus, the schedule will be released on Wednesday. I'll ask Brett my over-under on primetime games for the Titans. We'll do that next.
Ooh.
Chasing Big Joe, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel, here on this Monday, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game on this Monday, on a little later today, and Brett Kern joining us in studio for the first hour. Joe will be along in the second hour as well. Looking forward to that. Tim Corbin at 2 o'clock today after a big weekend for the Commodores baseball team. But we'll get back to our question of the day in a second. But the schedule will be released.
Yes.
Coming up on Wednesday. And it's funny, like I asked you in the break, like, do you ever care about that? Or, because I think Callahan said it was like I maybe look at the first 2 games and then, one game at a time after that. But I didn't even think about right. For you, it probably was very important because you wanted to see where you were kicking in, November, December, and January.
100%. It was where are we going November, December, right? Are we Northeast? A couple of years when we had like Buffalo, New England, Chicago, those Green Bay. Do we get those early on in the year? Do we get them later? When do we get at Indy, at Houston? I loved when they were December because the roof would be closed. So, and then you're just looking at, kind of how many home games do you have? Because, Nashville, December, I remember last game of the year, I was around New Year's Day against the Texans. It was 70 degrees, right? And then, I remember when we were when we clinched in 2017, the playoffs, we played Jacksonville. I think it was like the coldest game in Nissan Stadium history, right? So December is obviously 50-50 with the weather, but at least you have a chance of having a warm day. So I always looked at the schedule. When are we playing or where, at what time of the year are we playing certain teams? And you just kind of go about planning for how the year's going to go.
Well, the good news this year when it comes to cold climates, there's really only 2 to have to worry about, Denver and Cleveland.
Denver, yep. Okay. Denver, but Denver is one of the things you play it late. It could be 60 and sunny out there.
Yeah.
I played out there when it was 15 degrees.
Right.
And the sun's out and you're like, this actually isn't that bad.
Yeah.
So Denver's not too bad.
Yeah, but you always, and you actually played there. But did you guys factor in the whole, the altitude and all that stuff?
It gives you an extra, if it was that much of a competitive advantage, the NFL would have to do something about it.
Right.
I think maybe you get an extra 2 to 3 tenths a second of hang time. So maybe something down here, Nashville or even down sea level, maybe a hang time that's 4.6. Maybe in Denver could be like a 4.8.
Oh, wow.
And then I think, yardage wise, maybe you got an extra 5 yards.
Yeah.
It wasn't as crazy as people think.
Did it affect like your catching your breath and stuff like that?
I remember my rookie year when I got out there, the first workout we had was 300s and we had to run 10 of them. And I thought, I threw up. I wasn't the only one,
yeah.
But, and I was in shape.
Right.
I knew coming in, we were going to be running all that kind of stuff. I was going to have to run with everybody. And so I was in really good shape, and we did 10 300s, timed rest, which wasn't a lot. Felt like no rest, but yeah, that was rough. That was tough. So it can get you.
Yeah. 615-737-1025. We'll get more on our question of the day. Over under 1.5 primetime games for the Titans. They had one last year on Monday night in Miami.
Is it a requirement now that you have to play on Thursday night?
No, because they didn't have a Thursday night last year.
So there goes one. All right. Did they put New England?
I think.
Did they put that?
I think you have to. I just.
You think that's one of those Thursday night games?
What I have been saying basically since Vrabel took that job was, if you open the Titan season on the road, the home opener is Thursday night against New England. With Cam Ward, the first overall pick, and then Vrabel's return to Nashville.
What about that? I wonder if it could be one of those. I wonder how many of the double Monday night games they have this year.
Yeah, I think they do 5 a year now.
5 of the double headers,
I believe.
I could see them. You know what? I'm going to take the over just because I think with Cam Ward being the number 1 pick,
that's intriguing.
I think they're going to want to have him on TV.
Yeah, I think it's intriguing.
So I could see him. 2. I could see 3.
They play Kansas City at home, so that could be a factor to put him on against Mahomes. That Tehran said he could see that being like a Sunday night game.
Okay,
potentially the home opponents. Obviously the division: Chargers, Chiefs, Patriots, Rams, Saints, and then Seahawks. and then on the road,
So New England's got the best chance.
I would
for
say
that one.
Kansas City and New England,
Okay.
the best chance for
Yep.
that. And then on the road, Arizona, Denver, Cleveland, San Francisco, Vegas.
What if Shador's starting?
That, I mean, maybe you schedule that one later in the year.
I've just died laughing back here. If that actually happens, that would be primetime TV.
I
I'm
mean,
just- it's
it's
Cleveland.
Not,
We don't-
It's
I
not
mean-
a stretch.
You have Joe Flacco. When's the last time he played a full 17?
Derek was probably playing with him.
Yeah.
Right.
I
So
mean-
the odds of him playing 17 are probably pretty slim.
Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do. They're not carrying 4 quarterbacks. I mean, but you traded for Kenny Pickett.
Right.
You just signed Flacco.
So
Are you
then
going
you
to
try
really
to
cut
trade-
Flacco?
You try to trade Kenny.
Do you
Well,
trade
obviously,
him
he's
or
not going
get-
back to Pittsburgh.
I think Kenny Pickett's their day one starter, in my
I-
opinion.
You
I
think so?
think so. And then Gabriel and Shador.
Man, Gabriel's a 3rd-round pick.
I know, which was just, I don't know.
I don't
I'll
know.
be
If,
curious to see what New Orleans does.
I don't know if y'all saw any of the videos over the weekend, but Shador Sanders was throwing some airmails and just 7-on-7. It was bad.
He was missing.
Yeah, no, it was just throwing interceptions.
Oh, interception.
Like they were just
Yeah.
lofted up in the air, and people were like, "Oh, thank you for my takeout menu. I'll just take it."
I'll take this.
Yikes.
Yeah. So I
Okay,
don't know.
so maybe that won't happen. So we'll just forget the Shador Cam Ward matchup
It still
Yeah.
could happen, Brett. It still could happen.
I'm with you. I go slightly over because I think it's 2.
too. Yeah.
I think, and maybe there's some flex options later in the year, but I think to me, New England, Kansas City has the best chance. Maybe Houston, but I don't think the national audience cares about that.
No,
So
they definitely don't care about as much as the 2 cities do.
yeah,
And the
of
2
course.
ownership groups.
I think you're onto something though, Chase, because you retire Warren Moon's number, you take it out of retirement. I mean, there might
What
be
if
something there.
Warren Moon? What do they do? I forgot what they do down in Houston. They bang a drum, or they? You know how some teams they come out like Carolina bangs the drum. We got the sword.
Kansas City does the drum. Yeah, you're right.
Kansas City does the drum. Like, what does Houston do? Ride the bull or something? I don't know.
Saddle them up.
I should
don't
know. I mean, I played down there a lot, but I just remember JJ Watt being introduced, and they played "Turn Down for Watt." That's just runs
Yeah.
replay in my
Muscle
head.
memory at this
It
point.
was just brutal. Yeah. What if Warren Moon is like the
Double agent.
Yeah. Or what if they introduce him like as like the guy of the game or whatever
Houston
they do down
legend.
No, but what
Houston
would be
legend.
awesome is if he did that and he walks out in like a Texans jersey and then he just like rips it off and he's got the Oilers jersey on underneath.
there?
Just like
We got to stop. We got to stop.
just
this.
really like, goes crazy with it. But Brett, thanks for coming in. Good to catch
Absolutely.
up with you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again for sure. It was a lot of fun. It flew by.
Yeah, it
That
did.
is for sure. He is Brett Kern, former Titans punter. We'll have more coming here on Chasing Big Joe in the afternoon, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 2 of Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game on this Monday. Did the old switcheroo today. DVD was earlier, 9 to noon. We'll be on from noon to 3 today and tomorrow. Jake Lyman, D-Mace going 3 to 6 in for Jared. On Wednesday, we go back to the 9 o'clock start, going to noon. DVD will go noon to 3. And then we've let Rex Road and Kuharski take over the afternoon show 3 to 6, just because I felt like it was going to be fun. Adam Vingan will co-host with Robbie Stanley in the mornings. And then on Thursday, it is Robbie and Rex Road, me and Joe, Willie and D-Mace, and then Adam and Jake in the afternoons. And then Jared's back. Everything's back to normal on Friday. So I had to think through that for a second. Big Joe will be along here in just a few minutes as he had a speaking engagement at the Waffle College. So we'll get a full report on that and how that went. And then Dr. Crane is back behind the glass. We're not going to talk about the debate we just had during the break because that is literally a July topic, but it was a fun one. But how you doing, Dr. Crane?
I'm great, Chase. I was telling Jim and Woody earlier when I walked in, I was like, this is a weird kind of schedule because I woke up at my normal time, did my morning routine. I was ready to go out the door by 7:15. I was like, wait a minute. Let me find other stuff to do. So I did and ended up making sauce with my mom before I left for work. So.
Nice. Yeah, I liked it too. It was kind of nice getting going and having a little time just to, do whatever.
Yeah.
Before having to come in. So today's kind of been an interesting media day when it comes to sports. Rich Eisen, it was announced earlier that he's coming back to ESPN, where he spent the first part of his career before going to the NFL Network. He's still going to do some stuff on the NFL Network, but ESPN's doing a new direct-to-consumer type app, and he's going to have his show on there. So a similar deal like McAfee has where it'll be Eisen's show, but be on ESPN. So I thought that was cool. But then the one that got my attention, and I will let you play the clip, that I saw, and as a kid growing up in the 90s, hearing the round ball rock back with the NBC, I mean, I was already excited about that. But the NBA on NBC made this announcement. It says, I'm back. Get your away.
Hey everyone, Sean can be with you all today at Radio City. I am so excited to see the NBA back on NBC. The NBA on NBC was a meaningful part of my career. I'm excited about being a special contributor to the project. Looking forward to seeing you all when the NBA on NBC launches this October.
So how about that? Michael Jordan is going to be what they're calling a special contributor to the NBA on NBC. I'm going to be honest. I never thought I would see him do that because he had kind of had a love-hate relationship with basketball and had, he's been doing the NASCAR thing. But you remember a few weeks ago, we had NASCAR reporter Jamie Little on, and she was talking about that they had been like, look, he's off limits. He doesn't want to talk and all that stuff, when in fact he's wanted to, and he's done a lot of interviews and kind of opened up and stuff. So it does kind of feel like as he's gotten older, he wants to kind of be back in the spotlight a little bit more. I think this is a huge get for NBC because ESPN had already announced that they had gotten the rights to Inside the NBA and those guys. The fact that Jordan's going to, whatever special contributor means, I think is going to be cool.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Special contributor. Like, to me, if it's the TNT broadcast they do with hockey, they have Gretzky on with the rest of the panel. I think that'd be huge if they had Michael Jordan in that sort of fold, because I don't know what it is about those athletes, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, Peyton Manning. They're all I guess, higher status, but it's almost like it's a rare occasion to see them in the spotlight, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And like my thing, you bring up I was texting Robbie about this over the weekend. The NHL on TNT, Turner Sports coverage is fantastic. Like, I love the panel, they had Rick Tocchet in there over the weekend, who was originally on it before he went back into coaching. It's looking like he's going into coaching again. So he was on over the weekend. But, you know, Biz and Ace and Liam McHugh does a great job anchoring that. And then they got Henrik or Hank in there doing his thing. Gretzky's in there from time to time. I just think it's entertaining. It's like inside the NBA. And I don't think, you know, like Gretzky's not the best at it. But because of who he is, that obviously carries a lot of weight. And he fits well with that panel because I think they pick up some of his deficiencies. You know, you can just tell he's not as comfortable on being, you know, being on the camera and all that stuff. But I love what, you know, they're doing here. Bring Jordan in, use Jordan. And then you think about it, you got Brady doing football. The Mannings are doing the Manning cast. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is doing NASCAR. Now Jordan, Gretzky, you got the inside the NBA guys, which, you know, I think are great with Shaq and Kenny and Charles or Chuck. So I think it's cool to see. So my question is, what's the next great athlete you want to see do TV or radio?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I don't know.
Because look, not everybody's going to be good at it.
Right.
Not everybody has the personality. But then you got guys like Pat McAfee, who was a punter, who was an okay punter in the National Football League, has made he just wrestled a match for WWE over the weekend. He's made this huge name for himself, and I think does a really good job. You got some coaches, like I think Saban's pretty good at it. I think, honestly, Belichick should have just done this and been done with coaching, but we'll see how that all works out at North Carolina. But then you have guys that just aren't good at it, and that's okay. They have to try it. But, you know, I look at, like, is LeBron going to do media?
Maybe. I mean,
I could see it or I could not see it.
The thing that I don't understand about like all these marquee players, especially Jordan, he's in this tax bracket. They have lifetime deals with Nike. I mean, he has his own brand of Jordan, but it's through Nike. I mean, LeBron has his own lifetime deal through Nike. Why go into media? Like, you've made enough money. Like, you know, I wouldn't say save it for other people like me, but I mean, come on now. Like, find other outlets. I mean, I hate to be rude that way, but find other outlets to work in that. I mean, and I want to go back to Michael Jordan real quick, being I guess, some sort of special analyst in some regard for NBC. Looking at that, I think will bring in more of the older demographic that grew up with the Jordan era. And I think we'll bring back more of the NBA of old in the 80s and 90s. And because I didn't grow up with Michael Jordan, but I appreciate his just, I guess, work ethic, mentality going for basketball. And it kind of helped sculpt the future of basketball today.
I think Ricky just texted me, so I'll give him credit for this. I think LeBron goes right into ownership. I agree. I think he does too. I think he's going to have an ownership of the Lakers and do that, you know, but I don't see him jumping into the media. He could, but somebody texted in Tiger. I don't know if Tiger has the personality, because he would really have to let loose and open up, and he doesn't like to do that.
I will say about Tiger, I've seen YouTube videos about him doing, you know, just walkthroughs and how to really sculpt your swing, especially with guys like Scotty Scheffler or Xander Schauffele or whoever it may be. He's done some stuff with the TGL, and then, you know, they have that very immersive interaction with the desk along with the player on the field. And
he was good at that. I'll give you that.
Right.
He did kind of let loose and open up on that.
Yeah.
So that I'll give you. But Tiger would be an interesting one. Nevada Josh says Barry Sanders. That'd be interesting.
He's done some stuff with NFL Network, hasn't he?
Dustin says, I love it. Jordan's going to call these young guys out so often. He probably will.
That is kind of what I'm thinking. It's a refreshing feeling because inside the NBA, especially Charles Barkley did so with that, and along with Shaq, they call players out from time to time. They were very, you know, fun and interactive with it. But with Michael Jordan, I could see it being more of a statement purpose when he says stuff about players now.
Steven from Hendersonville, Shel Sonnen is a color commentator for anything. I love Shel Sonnen. It could be the German forklift championship airing at 4 a.m. on ESPN 8, and I'd tune in to listen to him. He's great.
He's hilarious, and he does such a great job with UFC as well.
Dylan says, I'd like to see Spurrier on a college football panel regularly. I don't
mean,
know about that.
Put him on with the SEC network. That's, I think, would be his just bread and butter. He fits that just not demographic, but he just fits that just atmosphere of the SEC network. It's very fun, energetic. It just, to me, SEC football screams guys like Steve Spurrier.
James says Paul Pierce is great on the NBA. I think he does okay. He's not bad. Nevada Josh also says Marshawn Lynch, Mike Vick, or Warren Sapp. Vick did a little bit. Sapp did it before he had some issues, I think.
Briefly.
Yeah.
It was a very short stint.
I don't know. I don't know about Marshawn. I want to think he'd be good at it, but I don't know.
He fits the McAfee audience. I think that's your best bet with a guy like Marshawn Lynch. He just has that unfiltered just voice. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. He's unfiltered. A lot of people love that stuff. They love the unfiltered locker room talk. But at the same time, look at a guy like Michael Vick, who did a pretty decent job with Fox when he was, an analyst. So, I mean, they all have their own, ways to do things, but Marshawn definitely fits a McAfee atmosphere.
615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What next great athlete do you want to see on TV or radio? A lot of your answers are coming in on our text line. We'll get to those. You can also tweet at Chase on Game at 1025 The Game as well. Big Joe to join here in just a little bit. It is Chase and Big Joe presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel here a little bit later on a Monday, 1025, 1063 The Game. Well done, sir. Takes me back to my childhood now. Ah, yes. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game. Little like Mike, the Gatorade commercials back in the day. It's nostalgia, man. It feels good. MJ's back. It's just how we all feel. Big Joe will be here in just a second. Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier on the ones and twos. Asking this question, what next great athlete do you want to see enter the media world, TV, radio, as Michael Jordan will be a special contributor to the NBA on NBC, as we found out earlier today, and a lot of good answers coming in. My buddy Ricky says Joey Votto, who just recently retired from baseball. Votto would be fantastic because he's got personality. He was always good in media settings. I think that David James is he still back there? Just made a good one. David, who'd you just say?
Draymond Green.
Draymond Green. I mean, he does the podcast already. He's controversial. He's got personality. Draymond would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
I mean, off the top of my head, Albert Pujols is kind of already doing it now with the MLB Network.
Yeah.
But any other sports, nothing's really kindling into the brain a little bit. I mean, there are a lot of former soccer players that I think that should be really good at, doing sports analyst stuff on TV. But I mean, they're all European stuff. So I mean, they're kind of already doing that. Nothing comes in my brain, honestly.
Yeah.
Just Albert.
You know who does it? I mean, it's not as big of a scale, but like I think TJ Houshmandzadeh does a good job with it. I mean, I know he wasn't like a huge superstar, but well known for sure. Let's see who could be. I would actually be. I know Joe would argue this. I'd be okay if Peyton did more because I just think Peyton has the personality for it.
Yeah, he knows how to work the TV.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's because he's gotten used to the I guess comedy aspect of it all, where it's very kind of locker roomish but still professional, kind of with the Manning cast. But give him as an analyst. I mean, I think Tom Brady and Peyton Manning obviously have different personalities. Switch Brady where Manning is now for the Manning cast.
I agree.
I think that would fit Tom better. And
I think Tom would be better in studio.
Yeah, on like a panel.
And like because that day that they actually did this, that it was Brady, Gronkowski, and Edelman all together, they were pretty good.
Yeah,
because Edelman has some of the personality. Gronk is Gronk, obviously.
And so you have the rest of them like Jimmy and Howie and all of them. So
So I mean, I think like CBS has done this where they had Matty Ice doing games and then they moved him to the studio, or was it vice versa? I think it was the other way. I think he's now in studio, and I think he's better at that. And I think they're putting Watt's going to do games. So, I mean, it's sometimes you have to experiment with it and kind of figure out what works and what doesn't. But I think it's interesting. Weston Hermitage says, I think Ric Flair would be awesome. I don't know.
That's a loose cannon.
I don't know. That might be a paid subscription, so you wouldn't have to worry about the FCC. Got to vote for Terry Francona, George Brett. Both could be interesting. Francona's done a little bit, I think. Dustin and Hopkinsville, Antonio Brown. Again, I don't know about that. Nevada Josh, Allen Iverson, and Marshawn Lynch would be funny as an R-rated show.
That would be that'd be a paid thing. I would not have to have that on TV.
Let's see. 2221 does not like McAfee. Hot take: McAfee isn't funny or good, and the shtick takes away from real analysis. Him on game day is okay, but I get tired of listening to him just yell stupid stuff throughout the show. Give him a couple of segments. So I think here's the thing on McAfee, because I understand why you would say that. I think McAfee is generational, and that's it. Like younger people, and I'm probably on the fringe of this. Because but like I think younger people probably like him, older people don't. And I think what College Game Days tried to do is counteract that with Saban. So you have Saban, who's kind of the old school, the coach, he's going to get some of the older audience, and McAfee's going to probably bring in some of the younger audience.
Yeah, and it's a great mix. Like,
Yeah, I
think,
fall in the middle.
Yeah, and I think before McAfee went to ESPN, he had his show on Sirius, and it was just I think it was more authentic then. I'm not saying it's not authentic now, but he's had to, I think, curate his show to the guidelines of ESPN.
Yeah. Dylan says, I think Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon would be cool to see on TV. Dale Jr.'s doing it. Gordon did it, and then he took over, and I didn't think he was great at it. Then he's running Hendrick Motorsports. Jimmy's done a little bit. Jimmy, I think, could be good at it.
Who would you
as a
say
race
is
car
like
driver.
the next NASCAR analyst that's currently driving?
It's a good question. Keselowski, maybe. Joey Logano will whenever he's done. I mean, he's doing some of it now, but I mean, he's for sure. Maybe Kyle Busch.
I was about to ask, you think you could see Kyle Busch in a suit and
Maybe.
tie?
Maybe. He's done a little bit of it. If he lets himself be himself and they let him be himself, then I think he'd be good at it. But Joey Logano, hands down, will do it for sure. 0247, I believe Happy Gilmore would be excellent in the golf world. Pac-Man Joe.
Oh boy. Imagine having him on a radio call.
7701 John Cena. See, I think if he lets his personality come out, he would be fine. Nevada Josh now saying Derek Carr needs a new job. We haven't talked about that, but Derek Carr announcing his retirement over the weekend.
I want to get your thoughts on this, Chase. Like, there's so many former athletes now, especially in the NFL. Ovi would be great playing Bands Make Her Dance on TV. That'd be something. But like, there's so many former NFL athletes, like especially use CBS, for example, Matt Ryan, JJ Watt, Nate Burleson. Like, you keep on going, and you add, former coaches along with that. There's too many. Like, the panel is going to be a long, long island of just people. Like, you're gonna have to do a giant wide shot of the camera on TV. Like, at what point do you say, "Let the buck stops here. We got to find a different outlet for you guys"?
So you're saying like they have?
I think it's overpopulated with former athletes as analysts.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem. A lot of these networks are very loyal to the older guys that have been doing this for a while, and with all due respect, probably don't need to do it anymore. Like Jimmy Johnson just retired. I have an immense amount of respect for Jimmy Johnson, the coach. It was time. Lee Corso's retiring. It was time. I think Terry Bradshaw, it's time. Howie, I think, still does a good job. You can because the problem is I can tell that they're not keeping up with it to the extent that some of the recently retired guys are. I think there's room for an older coach or, someone that's been around for a while, but they're definitely, you got to mix it in. Now, the problem is they're not finding the personalities as easily as maybe they did back in the day, that you had the Terry Bradshaws and, outside of his other things, like OJ was good at it. Like he had that, the Theismans, John Madden obviously was the gold standard. So it's not maybe as easy to find those guys nowadays, but I think the reason that, the panels there's too many of them is they just like, they let, and Boomer, I think, was still good at it. I don't know why they got rid of Boomer, but Phil Simms, he was kind of bland in my opinion, but they kept him on out of loyalty and, finally made the move, I guess, after his contract ran out. So I think to that point, they have to have those tough discussions and say, all right, who's better at this, Rob Gronkowski or Terry Bradshaw? My personal opinion, I think if he's coached right, Gronk can be really good at it.
That's fair.
So that's kind of how I look at it.
That's fair. I mean, I probably still lean Terry Bradshaw. I think there's something, not just Terry Bradshaw's personality, but I don't think Gronk, like you're saying, if he had the lessons and learned about it, sure, probably the next ace in the hole. But as for right now, I still got to stick with Terry on that one.
I was waiting for somebody to bring this up. Dustin in Hopkinsville says Taylor Lewan could leave Bussin and do NFL instantly. I don't know, because I think again, I think Taylor is it's his personality that may not translate to just, doing the NFL on Fox. Do I think he'd be good as an analyst? Sure. But I don't think you'd get what you're used to getting out of him, because it's linear television. And so that's kind of my thing with him.
Yeah. And
I think Taylor does a great job where Taylor is.
Yes. There's a time and place for everybody. And especially everybody is so enamored with this locker room talk podcast style format that there's like, oh, we're going to bring that to TV. That'll drive in more viewership. To me, it doesn't. You got to stick to the format. If it works in this setting, keep it in that setting. Don't try to translate it to the television.
615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll get to your calls and texts on this coming up next. Plus, Big Joe will join the fray, and we'll reset our question of the day. It's Chasing Big Joe later in the afternoon. We're on until 3 o'clock today here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For the Jags, 3rd down and 7. And they're coming. Leslie and Smith. Mariota out of it. And he can fly. Plenty for a first. Plenty more to the 40. Mariota got his eyes on the end zone. Can he finish? At the 30, the 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Mariota. 87-yard run.
Was that from his rookie year? Very nice. Our question of the day that we have thrown out there is which franchise rookie quarterback record does Cam Ward have the best chance to break? And when Big Joe gets settled, he's just walked into the studio. I will throw out these records and see if he's heard them, if he can guess who the record holder is. Hi, JoJo.
Hey, all right, good.
How are you?
I listened on the drive back from Lebanon. And
how was the Waffle College? I know you were speaking there.
Good.
Today.
It's good. Pursue your dreams. You'll get grease on you, but never quit. Also, if you are a cook at a Waffle House, you're required to fight one customer a week. So
Okay.
make sure you do that.
Nice.
And you're good to go.
No, where were you really?
I was speaking, very honored and humbled to speak to the Habitat for Humanity of Nashville.
Very
they have
cool.
a big luncheon out in Lebanon today, so it was good. Packed house. Always good to talk to the people. And the story for Habitat is second chances, opportunities, overcoming this and that. And so it is a wonderful, wonderful organization. And our world's a better place because Habitat's around.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of make this a catch-all segment for you because we've had a couple of different things that we've batted around today so far. Hard to believe we're halfway through the show.
Crazy,
which is
right?
Crazy. First, the topic that we were just having with the NBA on NBC announcing that Michael Jordan would be a special contributor to their coverage beginning this fall. Who's the next great athlete that you would want to see do media?
Oh, man, that's a good one. I was reading, listening to you on the way in. That's a good question. Oh, gosh. There are,
we've had a few, like maybe this will help.
I mean, I go back. Like when Joe Montana retired, he did it, right?
Yeah.
For 1 year, and he quit. You know why he quit? Didn't like criticizing people who played quarterback.
Right.
So there's a lot of great athletes who I think that would do it, but wouldn't do it because of that.
Yeah.
My goodness. LeBron?
See, I don't know. I think LeBron could be like that if he don't want to criticize his friends. Plus, like Ricky said, I think he goes into ownership. Like I think he's going to own the Lakers.
Nah, she's not giving that up.
Or part of it.
You know who she's married to? Jeannie Buss?
The GM. Or no, they were. Who's she married to now?
The comedian Jay Moore.
Really?
Yes.
That's random.
So guys out there, you have a chance at marrying rich, beautiful women. If Jay Moore can do it, we can do it.
So 7701 or Johnny from Mount Juliet said George Kittle. George Kittle will absolutely do something. Now he may do something similar to like the Bussin' with the Boys guys, but
yeah,
he will do something.
And I heard you talk about the Taylor Lewan. There's nowhere Taylor Lewan can do that without having the bleep button.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to listen to Taylor Lewan for more than 2 minutes.
I think Taylor's good at what Taylor's doing. Like, I don't think Taylor would be good at calling games with Taylor Zarzar. Like,
no, not at all.
Mike Keith. You know, like I don't think that's his role. That's not a knock at Taylor. I just don't think
I agree.
That's his role, so to speak. Jameis Winston, I could see Jameis doing some stuff.
So what's Jordan? Is he going to be like once a month?
I don't know. They haven't really specified what special contributor means yet, but he's going to do something like that.
I would love to see him break down game situations, not necessarily players, but like, hey, when I did this, what happened? Or they should do this coming up. That's what made Romo so good, was the fact he would call the play before the play ran. Like, the insight he had on there, which is great.
For my NBA guys behind the glass, what about Klay Thompson? Somebody just brought that up on the text line.
Well, the other person back here is gone.
He's gone?
Yeah, why not? Klay Thompson.
Yeah,
Sure, he's
he
a good
could be good at
three-point
it.
shooter. I think he'd be able to analyze outside the perimeter.
How about this question? Who do we need to get out of the booth?
Well, so Dr. Crane just brought that up about like the NFL, the analysts in the studio. And like my problem is they're hanging on to some of these older guys way too long. Like all due respect to Lee Corso, he should have retired 10 years ago.
Easily. Didn't CBS bounce Boomer and Phil Simms?
They did so they got them. Jimmy Johnson just retired from Fox. Bradshaw needs to retire. And all due respect, I'm not trying to be a jerk.
But the funniest part of that show is he messing up.
I
They
know.
all laugh.
I
They
know.
all laugh.
Now, somebody like Howie Long, I think is still paying attention and doing a good job and stuff. But it is time to get some of the newer guys that are more recently retired in there.
But are you talking the role of the special contributor like Jordan? Or are you talking actual color?
I'm talking about
commentary?
anything. It can be a color analyst, can be a in-studio analyst, can be a special contributor.
I heard
whatever.
somebody mention George Brett earlier, and Chase knows this story. Dr. Crane, you know why George Brett missed a game in the World Series in 1980 versus the Royals? I mean, versus the Phillies?
I do not.
He had hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
Really?
True story.
Hmm.
He missed a World Series game because he had hemorrhoids.
Yep.
This is hard.
Yep. Let's go to Robert real quick on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Robert wants to comment on this. What's up?
How y'all doing, guys?
We're good.
Joe, did you have a good trip? Go down and see the grandbaby?
Thank you for asking. As I tell people, when you get a grandkid, the first one, it's not emotional, it's overwhelming. So thank you.
Good. All right. Well, look, in pro football, as an analyst, I think Travis Kelce, when he retires, he'd be awesome at it. In college football, I'm gonna go with the coach because I would love to see. I think Lane Kiffin would be an awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, he'd be good.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think he, in NBA, I just don't know. You know, I haven't watched the NBA since the days of Jordan and Bird and all them guys, but I just don't know. I really don't there, but you know. And then why is Jared so freaking rude? That's what I want to know. he is the rudest person I've ever met in my life. I mean, I don't know.
You ever met Kenny the mailman? He's pretty rude.
Oh,
Kenny's old. You gotta give Kenny some credit. Kenny's old, retired postman and everything. Gotta give Kenny some, give some slack. But anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all taking my call.
Thank you, Robert.
Love y'all. Thank y'all so much, Joe. You are the bomb, dude.
Thank you, brother.
Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it.
Kiffin's great.
Kiffin
That
would
is
be
a
good.
fantastic one.
Kiffin would be really good. All right. So here is our question of the day that we started the show with. We talked about it with Brett Kern when he was in studio. What rookie franchise quarterback record does Cam Ward have the best chance to break? Somebody texted in and said Peyton Manning's. I'm talking about just the Oilers Titans franchise, not NFL, just the franchise. 3,338 passing yards. Do you know who holds that?
Hold on.
And this is Oilers and Titans.
Rookie.
Yes, in a rookie year.
Pastorini?
No,
I don't know.
Warren Moon.
Okay.
19 passing touchdowns.
Warren Moon.
Mariota.
371
passing yards in a game.
Warren Moon.
Mariota.
Hey, go.
At New Orleans. Right after Wisenhunt got fired.
That's right.
4 passing touchdowns in a game held by 2 people.
Warren Moon.
Levis and Mariota. Mariota did it twice in his rookie year.
Okay.
The opener against Tampa and then at New Orleans.
Wow.
How about that? And then 62.2 completion percentage.
Warren Moon.
Mariota.
What's the interception record?
I knew you were going to ask that. I got to look that up. Because that could very well be.
Yeah.
be
It's
it.
a record.
Right.
I think I'd rather answer this question after the schedule release.
Oh, okay.
You know,
kind of see how it breaks down.
Because if like the first 5 games, if 3 are at home and 3 are against the AFC South or teams that aren't very good, then I'm going passing yards in the season.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll discuss this more.
All right.
Coming up next. And I'll look up the interception record. It's Chasing Big Joe, 615-737-1025 here on this Monday. We're on until 3 o'clock today on 1025, 1063 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, the game here on this Monday. In a little bit later today. When was Warren Moon's rookie year?
Was it 84?
Because I'm trying to find this interception record by a rookie.
Just call him up. You got his number.
And I'm having a hard time finding it. I think it's Dan Pastorini, but I'm trying to confirm that that's true. Again, just franchise.
Okay.
So that's what I'm looking for. But I'll keep scouring. How about that?
You do that.
Tim Corbin going to join us here in a few minutes at 2:00. Big series win over the weekend for the Commodores against the Base Vols. So we will talk to him about that. But our question of the day, which franchise rookie quarterback record does Cam Ward have the best chance to break? I saw this over the weekend on Twitter, and I've just put these 5 into the question. Passing yards for the season, 3,338 held by Warren Moon. 19 passing touchdowns held by Marcus Mariota. 371 passing yards in a game, also held by Mariota. 4 passing touchdowns in a game held by Levis and Mariota. And then a 62.2 completion percentage held by Mariota.
Was that Levitt? Was that his first game versus the Falcons?
Yep.
Boy, that went to hell after that, huh?
Yep. It did not go well.
I will give you a question, though, Chase, on that. What rookie quarterback won more? How many games did this rookie quarterback win that's number 1 all time? This rookie quarterback won this amount of games his first year. It's the record.
Roethlisberger?
Look at you.
Well, somebody brought Roethlisberger up earlier of like 14 wins or something.
13, yeah.
Or 13, so I had to figure that was it.
No, sir. You always give credit to yourself. So, again, the schedule to me determines what Cam Ward's going to do. He's going to play. If their first 5 games, they're sitting there at 3-2 and he's doing lights out, man, then he's going to break every record. He has to.
Yeah, I mean, and that's my thing. I think the touchdowns he had, like he could hit 20, and then the completion percentage. I mean, there's definitely a chance that he could do that. So I do believe Pastorini is correct for the franchise because in 1971, his rookie year, he threw 21.
Okay.
So I'm double checking a few, but I think that might be
That is confirmed by Connor Newt.
that is correct.
By
It is,
Connor Newt,
it is
yes.
Dan Pastorini. Now, I believe the overall franchise record for interceptions is George Blanda in 1962 with 42.
Good. How many?
42.
Good Lord. But you got to give him credit, though. He was 80 when he was playing then, so he probably had bad eyesight.
He was 35. He was 35 years old.
Well, there's that great picture of Ken Stabler at 37 and Brady at 37. And it's like, Stabler's got a beer belly. He can barely breathe, sweat everywhere. And, of course, Brady looks like he just came off a GQ model shoot. And you can tell back and forth.
There's a good pause there.
what they look like, right?
You knew exactly what you were doing there.
So it was like night and day between those two guys.
You probably did come. Yeah, anyway.
Good Lord. What in the world?
Moving on.
He said, hold on, it was too late.
But it was too late.
Yeah,
Don't look, Ethel.
Don't look, Ethel. But it was too late.
That's what she said.
Yeah. You scrambled just to get that, didn't you?
I did.
Is this our Clay?
Yes.
Okay,
yes, it is.
Clay wants to answer our question of the day. Hello, Clay.
Boys, good afternoon.
Thank you for tuning in late to hear us.
I heard from a VU friend of mine. Vanderbilt fans are pretty happy right now.
Feeling good. Your coach is on in about 7 minutes.
I can't wait. I heard from a VU friend of mine that this show was going to be from 12 to 3, and I thought, well, I'm going to call in, but I have a bone to pick with this show, if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
Get it.
Texted you twice, pal, about knowing when the show was, and I wanted to call in, all that, no response.
Well, Monday is the day that I volunteer. So I'm sorry I couldn't get back with you.
He was busy at the Waffle College.
Chase, would you like to be my new best friend from this show?
No.
Oh yes. He really means yes. Clay.
I love you, Clay.
By the way, if I could just, talk about the series a little bit.
Go ahead.
Get ready to come on. Tennessee's pitcher Friday was lights out. I think the guy, I heard he transferred, I think, from Ole Miss. And, during the broadcast, I think they said, or somebody said, he's one of the best pitchers in the country, and we couldn't do anything with him. And then they, took him out of the game. And, we just couldn't put it through, but couldn't tie it up in the ninth. But Saturday and Sunday, I saw a different Vanderbilt baseball team. And I don't know if that's anything Corbs did. Obviously Tennessee's pitching, maybe not quite as good after that guy, but, they stole bases. So the game plan was obviously aggressive. Steal bases, get ahead early. That's what we did, both games. And then the driving of the baseball, whether it be to the gaps or whether it be home runs. I mean, Vanderbilt hit 4 home runs yesterday. I mean, that's, this has not been a home run hitting team. So that's all pretty exciting to me because, in my opinion, if they now with this big series win, if they just win the Kentucky series, I think they're going to be a top 8 national seed and play at the Hawk all the way to Omaha.
Yeah, I think so too. Clay, we got to run on that, but thanks for the call.
See
ya. I was watching that game Friday. I thought they had a pretty good chance to win Friday too. I mean, he was right about Doyle pitching. I mean, he was definitely the difference for Tennessee. But when he came out of the game, I mean, they had an opportunity to certainly get back in, and they got 2 runs. They just couldn't get that third one.
And I want to ask Coach, what's the pressure like when you lose that first game?
Right. Yeah.
Then you're like, oh my God, I can't lose this. I can't lose it. Because I think that's even tougher when you got to go back. You're down 0-1.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So we'll get Tim Corbin's thoughts on the series as Vandy picks up a big series win against arch rival Tennessee. Corbs will join the show coming up next. It's Chasing Big Joe. We're live in the afternoon, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour number 3 of Chase and Big Joe, the afternoon edition for the next couple of days. He's Big Joe Dubin. I'm Chase McCabe, Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier on the ones and twos. A little bit of a different schedule for the first part of this week. We'll be back at it noon to 3 tomorrow with DVD before that from 9 to noon. But right now we talk some Vandy baseball, a huge series win over the Tennessee Volunteers over the weekend. We bring in their head coach, Tim Corbin, who is on the line with us. And Coach, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, and I thought you were in a pretty good position to even take it on Friday. You have to be proud of your boys.
Yeah, we were. I was, for certain. I mean, after that series, it felt like we grew a few years because of the competition, and it's good competition as well. It's a very good team, very good program, and to go there, obviously, you're fighting a lot of different elements besides playing really good players. So I'm glad we could pull it out. The first night was a tough ball game and kind of left you empty a little bit because you played well, and you may have had a chance to win 12 inches away from winning. The home run was taken away, but we responded well on Saturday, and certainly yesterday. You got both fighters won a round, and it comes down to the final round right there. So it was good entertainment, good competition.
Do you think Doyle was the big difference on Friday, though, with how well he pitched?
Yeah, there's no question about that. That's about as good as I've seen in a long period of time. That kind of fastball, he's holding on to 97, 99 in the 7th inning. We wanted to wear him down, and he was in one of those modes where he wasn't going to get worn down because he was throwing 71% strikes. So he's flooding the strike zone with a fastball. And as much as you want to get on top of it, you just don't face guys like him that spin the ball that like he does. I mean, that's major league stuff. So he held on to it. He's a really good competitor. He's a really good pitcher. And our goal was to try to get him out. And we couldn't get him out soon enough. We got him out in the 7th. And then we started to peck away a little bit, but it was kind of a little bit too late. And they had the big hits and we did not.
Obviously the run support was big on Saturday. You guys were able to strike first, but then they would answer in the bottom of the first inning. I mean, was that just all about trying to take the momentum whenever you could?
Well, I think, Saturday and Sunday first of all, Friday's game, we played such great defense because every single inning there was a defensive moment. We turned 3 double plays. We made some plays that were just out of the ordinary, and that kind of kept that game in place, but so didn't they. I mean, Ensley took, in center field, probably took 3 runs away from us. And then you get to Saturday, and Saturday's more of us, just running a lot. We wanted to get on base against Phillips because we felt like if we got on base, we were going to move, and we did. We stole 8 bases, and that's kind of how we got ourselves going. And then we played some good defense at the end, and we had a couple big hits in there too. And yesterday was just kind of the back and forth. I mean, you talk about counterpunching. That's exactly what that game was. We score, they score. We score, they score. It went that way throughout. When we didn't score, they didn't score. So you basically had 4 frames where both teams were going back and forth against one another, and we just happened to get one more run than they did at the end and hold on. And, the bases loaded, 2 outs. A lot of different things can happen, but McIlvain was very steady on the mound and got the last out.
You said when we started this that your guys grew, from this series this weekend. How did you see that? How did you see them grow going up against a top team, not only in the country, but in the league, and then obviously this rivalry being what it is in the state?
I think just the ability to come back after losing Friday and then put a stamp on Saturday and then get into yesterday and knowing that game meant a lot for both sides, whether it's ramifications in the postseason, whatever. It's just, right now at the present, this is the most important thing. And the fact that we could just stay steady emotionally, I think that to me meant a lot to kind of fight back a little bit, emotionally and spiritually, and then also with the bat too. And, when you have guys that stand up for their team like they do, it brings healthy, good competition. And when you can come out on the winning side in a very tough environment in Knoxville, then it does a lot for your team. It does a lot for your team's confidence, their moxie, how they responded to a tough situation and how they survived it. I just felt like, novice competitors give in that environment. They do. And not even novice, good competitors give in that environment. So you've got to be better than good in order to get through that. If you're not going to survive that inning or survive that game. And even to survive that ninth inning was a very special moment, because you got Ensley, who essentially is their heartbeat of their team, to lead off, and then they load the bases. You got 2 outs, but you got a seasoned catcher that's getting up to the plate that certainly can hit. And, we're just fortunate enough to get him out.
Talking to Tim Corbin on the Chase and Big Joe show. Coach, what this year, 47 at Vanderbilt? What are we in on? 24?
Was it
25?
23.
23. My goodness.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you approach it when you lose the first game? How do you calm your guys? Because if you lose that first game, you know what you got to do on Saturday or the next day. How much pressure is it on a team when you lose that first game? Do you talk about it, or do you hope the guys know what's at stake?
They all know what's at stake. I think the thing there is kind of reading your team a little bit. I mean, I was just talking to Clark Lee. He's just in my office, and we were just talking about the back and forth that exists in these moments. And he even asked me that same question. So Friday after it ends, it's basically a quick debrief. But I think the best time to put things in perspective of what the team needs to do is the next day before you play the next one. And that's exactly what we do. But I don't think you put too much on the moment. I think it's more about, these are the things that's going to take in order for us to win. I don't think you want to talk about circumstances. I don't think you want to say, we need this game, we've got to have this game. This is where we are right now. None of that really matters. What matters most is if you can stay really, really present on what you're going to do. And I think the best time to do that is right before the game. Your kids know that they know, and our kids, it's Tennessee. You got Tennessee kids on your team. You got a good team you're playing against. It's just, you got to respond favorably. And I thought we did in all phases.
Do you talk, and if you don't talk about this, I completely understand, but do you talk to your team when you know the other team is going to be jawing at you? Do you tell your guys, don't back, or jaw a little bit, but don't take it too far? How do you approach that part of the game?
Well, you cover all sports besides, just baseball. And I think the good football coaches are very good at getting their team to play with controlled adrenaline. I mean, they compete at such a high level, but it's almost like they get to those tipping points where they don't go over the edge. And I think obviously Saban does such a good job of that. James Franklin does such a good job of that. But really what it is not responding to the things that can set your team back. And I think, before we played Louisville in 2019, that College World Series game, we had to, if we won, we go to the championship series, and we won it. But I told the team at that point, I said, something's going to happen during this game they're going to try to set you off, or the circumstances are going to try to set you off, and you're going to have to respond favorably with poise. And it did. And we did. And I felt like that was going to happen yesterday too. We have a pitcher that works very fast. Oftentimes it can be grating on the opposition, because when you lift your eyes as a hitter, he's right on top of you. So I felt like that could potentially happen yesterday, and it did. But I thought both teams responded well. But for us, it was more about, no, this is about playing baseball. This is really about playing baseball well, and you can't play with anger. If you go down that road, anger is going to pull you away from what you want to accomplish. You can play motivated, but even in that case right there, even in the first inning, when Fisher, who's a hell of a player, hell of a hitter, he's just emotional going around the bases. But our team, they set something back in return, and Barzy did. And Barzy, the catcher, who's a young kid, he said something too, just to get him off the field. But in my opinion, the way Barzy responded was when he came up into the top of the second, hit the home run. That's how you respond.
Right.
That's the only thing that's going to affect the scoreboard. Talk and, that side chatter, that doesn't help the scoreboard. All it does is it pulls you away from what you want to do. And what you want to do is play better baseball than the opponent. And I felt like we did that.
not to do a hypothetical, but what crosses the line for you with a player and that incident on a Sunday? It was okay. I mean, there's jawing back and forth. I get that. But what crosses the line for you where you tell a player, like, this is too much?
A continuation of talk. Once it's over, it's over.
Right.
It's like if we've had brothers and sisters, we get into arguments, we get into fights. And then once it's over, it's over. And my dad always said that. Once you guys get into it, and, if fist fights at home, but once it's over, it's gone. It's gone. Move on. And I think, in anything, just like life, I mean, especially that's the great thing about team sports is they're almost gifts, because you can't be a highly sensitive person and play a team sport as competitive as this is. Okay. You have to drop things really quick and move on. And what a gift that is in life. What a gift that is to kind of fall down for a short time, but then get yourself back up again and respond favorably to the situation. And if you can't do that, life is going to be really tough. So I think we're and as being a 63-year-old man, I think a lot of times I can try to put in proper perspective to our boys how they should respond and just guide them in the right area. And I think, sometimes my players might look at me and go, I wish you would stand up for us a little bit more like that guy, whoever that guy might be. But I will do it, but I'll do it in my way, and I'll do it as professional as we possibly can and try to learn a lesson along the way on what's going to serve them right, because being emotional in life is only going to allow you to make bad decisions and put you in tough spots. And I don't want that for our kids. I want them to be able to act with calm, and you can't always do it, but you got to find your way there at some point in time.
Tim Corbin is with us, Vanderbilt's baseball coach, as they beat Tennessee over the weekend, take the series 2 out of 3. When I look at this and how, what Coach Vitale has done with Tennessee and building that program, they're obviously defending national champions. He's built it into a perennial powerhouse, much like you've done at Vanderbilt over your years there. Why is this rivalry so important for baseball? Because I think it's great to have both of these teams in the state playing at such a high level. How do you view that?
You said it, Chase. I mean, that you just said it. You think about these two programs, and they're in the same state. They're in Tennessee.
Yep.
They're in the same state. And between them, they've won 3 national championships. And Tony has taken his team to the College World Series, last 4 years?
3 of the last 4.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he's done some special things with that program, with some real special players. And then, Vanderbilt, I've just been here a long time, with this group, and we've been very, very consistent. And, we've been to 4 national championship games. We've been to the College World Series 5 times. I mean, that's a lot of nice winning between 2 programs. And that should set up a rivalry. That should set up good competition. That's what that's all about. That's what fans want. But at the same time, you got to hold things together. And I think we both have been able to do that. Our programs have been able to compete very hard against one another with a lot of emotion. And I think fans appreciate that. But you think that level of winning at the University of Tennessee and Vanderbilt over time, and we're both in this small state. It's not California. It's not Texas. It's not Florida. It's Tennessee. It's Tennessee, which is an unbelievable state. But they've also produced 2 schools who are producing 2 of the best college baseball programs in the country. And I think that's very special.
Amen to that, Coach. Real quick, you got the final series versus Kentucky. Anything different this week? I'm reading some things, how you might be slotted into a top 4 position, but you still approach like you want to win all 3, right?
Yeah, we just want to play good baseball. We want to play better baseball than Kentucky. So they're a very good team. They got done sweeping Oklahoma, very dangerous. And they last year they won the SEC title against us right there on their field. So it's a very good team. They're coached really well. So this will be another real good series. You got your 2 common opponents, because every year we'll miss a lot of teams, but we never miss Kentucky and we never miss Tennessee. So, you talk about rivalries, you're putting kind of three teams together that end up playing one another every single year.
Does it throw things off a little bit not having the Tuesday game like you have, for pretty much the whole season?
Not this week, Chase. It's good we can get this breather right here, because I think that these three games for us, at least anyway, when you go on the road, they were really tough, emotional games. So I'm glad we have that. Plus, we have got graduation this week, so we got a lot of senior events going on. So we can watch our kids graduate on Wednesday. We got a senior event, intimate senior event on Tuesday night. So there's some things that we can do that we don't have to get right back on the field again. But Thursday, we're going to have to be sharp, because that's a really good team we're playing.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and looking forward to the postseason as well. Always appreciate when you come on and talk with us. Congrats on the win.
Thanks, Chase. Thank you, Joe. Good talking to you both. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Tim Corbin joining us here on the program. Always enjoy our conversations with Corbs and just the honesty there. And I'll say this, the rivalry is great because the two programs are run differently. I mean, the two coaches are completely different. They are the polar opposites. And I don't have a problem with the way
not at all.
Tim Corbin runs his program, and I don't have a problem with the way Tony Vitello runs his. I mean, I think that's what makes it so entertaining from a fan's point of view to see. And look, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but I know that there's a coach rivalry too, but I think the respect is there.
Oh, it's even better when there's that respect, because you want look, they don't like each other. That we know, it's fine. You respect each other, that's fine. You get along, and you want to win the game. But yeah, I mean, that's Vanderbilt's beating their chest a little bit bigger today, which comes
and that is cool to see.
Yeah, it is. Who's the all-time greatest trash talker? You think in sports? I mean, because look, I watched that that could have got out of control quickly yesterday.
Yeah,
and
Chirper.
And if you're jawing at me, I'm jawing back. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's tough to walk away from that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, this, everybody's played, even softball at Two Rivers Park. It's hard to walk away when somebody's jawing at you. But I think I know who the greatest is, who's probably not on anybody else's radar, but I'm just curious.
We will discuss that coming up next. Again, thanks to Tim Corbin for joining us. Chase and Big Joe. Yes, we're on in the afternoon. A little bit different this week, as Jake Lyman and D Mace are going to do 3 to 6 coming up a little bit later this afternoon. We'll discuss that much more coming up next. 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hey, the 615 Open Charity Golf Tournament Bit Affinity Folds of Honor is presented by Gary Force Acura. It's at the Hermitage Golf Course Thursday, May 29th. Sign up to play our sponsor at 615open.com. Chasing Big Joe in today now for Jared as we're going a little bit later in the afternoon. We'll be off at 3, and it'll be Jake Lyman and D Mace taking over at that time. We're presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel. So your question now is the greatest trash talker in any sport?
Yeah, of any sport of all time.
Man, that's a good one.
My-
Alex Ovechkin's pretty good.
How can you understand him?
I can understand bleep talking in any language.
Right. I'm going to go with who Michael Jordan said was the greatest trash talker of all time.
Who was that?
Larry Bird.
I could see it.
He said Larry Bird was the greatest. Nobody came close to him. And it was funny because it's Larry Bird. You don't think Larry Bird would be that guy. But he said Larry Bird would get into your head as many chances as he could. He was number one. So I just made me laugh because you look up Larry Bird and people see that. But I guess Muhammad Ali.
Oh, yeah.
By far, right?
He's probably good. I bet there's guys that are so sneaky good at it that you never realized it, that they were good.
Yeah.
Like, Maddox was good at just getting in your head. I mean, but he didn't necessarily have to say anything.
Right.
So he was good. But like NFL, D-Mace could talk some trash back in the day.
Well, there's that clip of him and Bill Belichick going back
but
and
then
forth.
him and Finnegan getting into it.
And D-Mace beating up Joe Flacco for overthrowing him or whatever it was.
Yeah.
There's one right there with all that.
So, I mean, there are probably some good examples out there.
I mean, Lawrence Taylor was good. You watch that
Oh,
documentary on him, he wouldn't shut up the entire game. But that's the thing is that if you're terrible and you're talking like that, it's like, shut up. But if you're good, like elite, like a Lawrence Taylor or a Bird or a Muhammad Ali, that's a different level because there's nothing you could do at all to do all that.
Lawrence Taylor was just like that was the prime example of there was Lawrence and there was LT. And they were two different people.
They were.
And as soon as he stepped between those lines, he was LT.
Yeah.
And
they asked him and said, "Do you remember your draft night?" And he's like, "No." It's like, "Why not?" And he's like, "I was on the floor." They're like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I think I had 40 beers." I was on the floor. I was like, "Oh man."
I don't know if this was the same documentary that you watched, but there was one that came out a few years ago that at the end they're like, "What are you going to tell your grandkids about LT?" And he like paused and kind of got tears in his eyes. And he said, I would look at him with all the love in my heart. And I would say, "Kids, LT was a bad mother." And I was like, "Yep, that is spot on."
He was. You're right, man.
That is spot on. And I loved him being like when Abdul Carter was like, "Hey, can I have your number?" "Nope." "Go get your own damn number."
So are we excluding wrestlers out of this?
Yeah, a little
probably because it's
More
'cause it's
inclined for
it's
Mike.
scripted. I mean, well, it's a different question for that because like who's better at dropping a promo than others?
And
Like,
just
who are
trash
you gonna
talking on the field. I was just saying The Rock is really
Oh,
good
yeah.
with the mic.
say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean he's good.
Here's one that somebody sent me. John McEnroe.
Oh yeah,
John, remember you were producing. We had him on the show years
Yeah.
ago. He was
I
great.
went to that event. It
We
was him,
did.
it was him and
Connors
and John and Connors, yeah, and
Ivan Lindell.
Lindau, yeah, that's who he faced.
And was it Stefan Edberg? One of those Swedes. Anders Gerd, one of those Swedes back then. But that was great. And we brought up, he's like, "Yeah, I embrace it now." He said, "I was embarrassed when I got out of tennis, but now I become the bad boy, and it happens, and you're of tennis." And I think that's what tennis misses is a guy like that. I can't name,
Oh, no question.
I can't name Dr. Crane probably can because he's weird, but I can't name, can you name a tennis player in the top
Yeah.
25 besides
now.
Djokovic?
Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
Carlos Alcaraz.
We had his birthday last week.
Yeah.
God, you're so smart.
Thank you.
Private school education, folks. If you're
Thank you.
wondering where to go to public or private, there's your answer. I'm public. I know nothing. Dr. Crane with the Father Ryan knows everything.
Well,
Proud of you.
Listen, I
Easy.
went to a private school too, and I
Pretty
wouldn't
smart,
put-
Chaser. You're the boss, right?
No.
You're the boss. Boss and intelligence.
being smart and bull bleeping is You know,
Right.
You
Saddle
gotta
up,
have
partner.
both.
They do, man.
My dad looked at me when I was like 12, and he was like,
Get to work, boy.
he was like, you know, you're getting your education. Your grandfather's going to teach you all the smart stuff. I'll teach you how to bulb. So they both worked.
Yeah, that's right, man.
You need them both in life. That is for sure. But I don't know. Best trash talkers. That's certainly a good one.
You got one?
I can't. I mean, I said Ovechkin.
What was the guy from Ole Miss that did the basketball guy?
Oh,
Number
yes.
22. Yeah.
Yes.
Marshall Henderson.
Henderson. Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy, he drove everybody crazy on the basketball court.
Yeah.
Brian Bosworth was pretty good back in the day. But he backed it up, man. He backed it up.
If you're thinking of guys here, Kevin Mawai.
Subtly under the radar.
Yes. But I mean, he would say stuff.
He was good.
I mean, I'm sure all the stuff that's said in the trenches, like when you're lined up next to somebody, I mean, you know, there's stuff being said about your mother, your sister,
Easy
everybody.
now. Hey now.
Everybody.
Leave your mothers out of this.
I know, but a little bit of like you learn stuff about you that you didn't know in those. 615-737-1025. It is Chase and Big Joe here on a Monday. 1025, 1063 The Game.
What kind of so many college players moving around and going to different schools, does that in any way help maybe prepare these guys, you know, seeing new schemes, coaches, teammates, etc.?
Yeah, I do think there's some auxiliary benefit to that, where they've changed locations, they've had to meet new teammates, they've had to learn new schemes at least once in their college career. Now, some of that still happens with turnover at schools anyway, but the idea that they're moving from an entirely one place to another, I think is a little bit less foreign when they come into these types of camps and interactions and newness. Newness isn't as unfamiliar for some of these guys. I'd say probably most guys have transferred at least once. Some guys more than once. So they are more prepared for the change. I guess it's not as foreign to them. So there's probably some benefit to that. Yeah.
So far, how's that install process? I know obviously early, but how's that going with camp? Good.
So far, so good. Starting from square one, just like you do with all young players. And really, we start over every year anyway. You never take for granted the steps you have to take, and you start over. You teach the offense from square one again. You teach how to get in the huddle, the cadence, and all the basics from start to finish. And you just restart that process every year. And that's how we approach this. This is the beginning installs for those guys. It's the beginning of the offensive instruction for Cam, and how we operate in the meeting rooms, how we operate in the unit install, how we operate on the field are all part of this process for this weekend. So so far so good. But yeah, we start from square one and go and build from there.
That was Brian Callahan over the weekend talking about a couple of different things with Cam Ward and portal players getting a leg up on things. Chasing Big Joe in this afternoon, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. So I wanted you to hear that, and you had a reaction over there.
I was
what did
laughing.
you think?
We talk all the time about football. It comes down to two things:
blocking and tackling.
I don't care what level you are, right?
Yeah.
So I got new respect for him now. I know it's the huddle, okay, and I get it. You're not winning games off the huddle, but it's part of the process. Line up correctly. I mean, I love hearing that. Get to the ball in time. Know the cadence. Those are the little things coaches talk about. Why, little things take care of the big things. It does. So a correct huddle is not going to put 45 points on the board, but it's a pride thing.
Yeah.
Pride puts 45 points on the board. Busting your ass.
Because the guy next to you wants to play for you.
Pride.
Play with you at that point.
Yeah, I'm scoffing like, God, how many times I hear that? Break the huddle. Get back. Break the huddle. I mean, my God, I heard it high school and college all the time about breaking the huddle properly. And look, somebody might laugh at that. That's no big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. I like hearing that. Now go out and play, but the huddle, the protocol, I love that.
So in the other part that John Glennon asked the question at the beginning was, do you see guys that have gone through the portal a few times that have transferred, and Cam Ward's one of those, going from Incarnate Word to Washington State to Miami? Does that give them a little bit of an advantage that it's not as intimidating to walk into a new place, pick up a new offense, meet new players? And Callahan was very quickly to say, yeah, I mean, I think there could be an advantage to that because it's not foreign to them to have to meet these new people. Whereas if you're at a school for 4 years and then you walk into the NFL for the first time, seeing all these new people, it might be a little more intimidating.
All right, so I changed my mind on this because of one player. If you get beat out, work harder.
Right.
If you get beat out in college, work harder. But it all changed because of one player, Joe Burrow.
Yep.
Changed my mind on transferring. Became the greatest single offensive quarterback in college football history in 2019. Did not get the opportunity to Ohio State. And he tried. He tried and tried and tried. So, so Burrow goes to LSU, gets a new system, new surroundings, succeeds. I'm for it. Go find your playing time. I mean, now it's like, well, I'm going to get paid, but you got to play. So I don't mind that. So now Cam Ward's coming in. He went to Incarnate Word. Nobody knew about him. He goes to Washington State. You ever been to Washington State?
Nope.
What about that drive from Houston to was it Spokane or Pullman, wherever it is? You're driving across country pursuing your dream. Then you go from Pullman. Isn't that where Washington State is? I think, is that right, Dr. Crane? I think I'm right.
I don't know. There's another host in town that can tell you, but I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, right. You didn't know that. But you got to drive to Miami. So I love it. So he's having these new experiences and new schemes and system and coaches. I think it serves him well.
Yeah. And I think NFL, scouts and coaches and stuff have said that, if there is a positive in all of this, that could be one of them, because he's now been in a couple of different atmospheres, different locker rooms, different levels, different offenses. And so like you listen to him talk over the weekend, he's just very mild mannered and
Cam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I like that. Every time I hear the kid talk, I like him more and more.
I
I need to see him play.
Yeah, obviously.
But like every time I hear him talk, I'm like, okay. Like the fact that over the weekend there was, and TD tweeted about this, there was a rep, and it was, and Callahan explained it was a lot of 1-on-1. There wasn't 7-on-7. It was a lot of teaching. And there was a rep with Io Manor, the rookie wide receiver that's in, that it was a bad ball. It was kind of underthrown. It hit the turf. And Io Manor's running back, to the huddle or whatever. And Cam said, no, let's run it one more time. Coach didn't have to tell him that. Nobody else told him that. He said, hey, that was a bad rep. Let's get a good rep in. Let's do it again. And I thought that was fantastic.
Sure. Cam
loved that.
Cam needs to stick to the script, though. I'm shocked that Glenna didn't say, hey, thanks for having this at noon. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been here if it was earlier.
You had to get that. I knew. Just had to get that in.
Inside baseball. Oh, look, I mean, he's saying the right things. He's been in the right places, and now you put it together, and the vets will show up. And but it's good to see him on the field. I tell you, there's one guy I really like, and that's that dude Slater out of Sacramento State. He just looks nasty. He looks dumb and nasty. And that's what you want from offense. You can look dumb and nasty. I'm sure he's brilliant. Because I'm telling you, the whole misnomer of offensive linemen are stupid.
No,
they have to be the smartest guys on the field. And I wasn't smart, but you got to be the smartest guy. But I think that guy brings a certain – he's not going to start right away, but just a certain something. That je ne sais quoi, you got something. I'm not sure what it is, but it's there. That guy's got that. Oh, show. Interesting.
So our buddy Ricky just said that you're looking very dapper today because of your speaking engagement at the Waffle College.
Waffle College,
cool. Mike said, hey guys, I just turned on the stream and I totally thought you guys had Barry Trotz in because Joe looks like him today. What I miss, a Trotzy impersonation contest?
Trotzy from the waist up.
All right, I'm out.
Oh, show. Oh, well, we got Jake's here to fill the last 15 minutes.
Jake, you guys take over.
Oh, my Lord. That's your fault. You hired me 2 years ago. I blame you.
It's usually my fault. That is for sure. Faux show.
Interesting.
All right, I'll ask you this real quick as we kind of wrap up the Titans conversation. Best Titan, don't include the Oilers, undrafted free agent.
Oh, that's a good one. Drew Bennett? Gotta be.
Yeah. And it's funny, I asked Ricky that question. I had to think about it, and he said Drew Bennett, and I'm like, well, I'm an idiot. I mean, Xavier Restrepo has an opportunity to put himself in that conversation.
John Simon was good until he did one thing.
Yeah, he dropped one.
In the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Why wasn't Derek Mason back there returning that? I think Derek was doing punts or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Mariani was pretty good. Mariani.
He was drafted out of Montana, 7th round.
Was he drafted?
I'll never forget because I think it was Glennon who asked the question.
Oh, because he was friends with Brandon
Fisher. And Jeff was like,
right.
you better watch your mouth, punk. And I was like, yeah. So he was 7th round. Finnegan was the late round.
Yeah. So Mariani was picked 222.
Yep.
And yeah, Finnegan
I think
was.
Drew was the one because Drew Bennett parlayed what he did here to a massive contract with the St. Louis Rams where he was awful, just awful, but it didn't matter. He got paid.
NWI, I would say, is now in
Pretty
that
good.
conversation.
Yep.
I mean, and look, if Xavier Restrepo puts up in 5 years what NWI did, I think you would take that all day long.
I was going to say this was stupid. Jack Conklin
Was
walked
first round
on at Michigan State.
Yeah, right.
He was a 0-star
Yeah.
and became a great lineman.
Cam Ward, 0-star.
Yep.
So, a lot of OMGs coming through on my personal text line.
I can't wait to get a cold bowl on.
With that, coming up next, we'll tell you what day it is and celebrity birthdays. It is Chasing Big Joe in the afternoon, 102, maybe the last time, 102.5, 106.3. The Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, the game on this Monday. A little bit different schedule. Jake Lyman and D Mace coming out here in just a few minutes. They'll be in for Jared today. Looking forward to the NFL schedule release coming up on Wednesday. One game of note that has been put out there. The defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles will open the season Thursday, September 4th at home against the Dallas Cowboys. So that will be the
nice.
NFL kickoff game. I'm good with that. I mean, that's, it's kind of what you expect, the rivalry.
The next day, me and you are going to be somewhere in North, baby.
Oh, yeah. That is our plan, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. So that'll
we'll leak that out in a few weeks.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That we'll be able to talk about that. So supposed to be some more announcements with Fox and Prime, and they'll let some stuff out as we go along today. But with that, let's get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays. And it is, of course, brought to you by Jarrett Companies, Inc., above and beyond industry standards. They're the only company you need for commercial construction services. Just head to jarrettcompanies.com.
All right, gentlemen. First on the list, we have International Awareness Day. So just be aware.
What are we being aware of?
It says International Awareness Day. That's it.
International. Okay.
That's it. There's not a picture of a guy being chased by a dog.
No, it's like a doctor's jacket. That's what it looks like.
Oh gosh.
So, International Chronic Fatigue Syndrome Awareness Day is next. International Nurses Day.
Shout out to nurses.
Hopefully I pronounced this right. Limerick Day.
Limerick.
Yeah, Limerick.
Or you could Limerick. That was that was Ricky Merritt's character when he went into to be a rapper.
Oh, okay. Yep, good to know.
Limerick.
Yeah,
made sense.
Next one we have is National Fibromyalgia Awareness Day.
You did right on that one.
Yeah,
good.
How about that? A lot of weird lettering there. National Odometer Day, so in your cars.
Yep.
National Women's Checkup Day. Women, get your checkups. And last but not least, we have National Nutty Fudge Day.
Nice.
Yeah. Love me some good nutty fudge sometimes.
Got a joke for that, but I'd be fired. So I'll just move on.
Notice I'm being silent.
Caramel's pretty good too.
What is?
Caramel fudge.
Is it caramel or caramel?
Caramel. Not tomato, but caramel.
What did you call it?
Caramel.
You said caramel.
Caramel.
No, you definitely say both.
I might as well.
You go both ways with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. All right.
Nope. Never mind.
All right, time for celebrity birthdays. If we still have a job in 5 minutes, you got to get within 2 years.
Sean's driving right now. Maybe he's on the bus.
Our first birthday, the great actor Gabriel Byrne. How old is Gabriel Byrne?
I feel like I should know who this is.
He was in some movie where he played the devil with Schwarzenegger about 25 years ago.
83.
70.
75. The actor Bruce Boxleitner. He's in a bunch of things. He was last year in the film Christmas Under the Northern Lights. I believe, Chase, you had a cameo in that one as a bookstore owner.
64.
65.
75.
85.
Actor Ving Rhames.
Oh, okay.
Who should have probably been nominated for an Oscar for Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. He's in the Mission Impossible movies
He is. He's the Arby's guy, right?
Yes. I think he is. 62.
60.
66. Emilio Estevez.
Sean's listening. So yeah, this might be it. Emilio Estevez, 60.
65.
63. Dr. Crane's on the board. By the way, Young Guns is a very underrated 80s movie that you should see. So good with him in it. Kim Fields, Tootie from Facts of Life.
65.
70.
56. 70. Okay, going down some more here. Jason Biggs was an American Pie.
Yeah, he was the main guy.
Orange is the New Black. He was married to Piper.
45.
51.
47. Tied at 1. Like this. You guys are doing good. Rami Malek, who won the Oscar for playing Freddie Mercury.
Ooh.
He's also an iRobot, or I think it was Mr. Robot.
33.
41.
44.
Wow.
Fun fact, he went to University of Evansville to college.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
I'll be there in a few months.
Down
Really
here.
looking forward to it.
I bet you are. Singer Steve Winwood. Higher love, baby.
78.
72.
77. Chasing on top 2-1. Singer Kix Brooks of Brooks and Dunn.
64.
65.
70.
Wow.
Right?
Mama don't get dressed up for nothing.
Billy Squire.
71.
68.
75. Chasing up 2-1. You guys aren't good today. Actor Stephen Baldwin. His daughter is married to Justin Bieber.
Stephen Baldwin. Is he the middle one?
I think he's the youngest.
You might be right. 60.
53.
59. Chasers up 3-1.
Was he the one in Backdraft or was that Billy?
That's Billy.
Yeah. Okay.
Going down here, a few more. How much time we got? Oh, we got a couple minutes here. Everybody's playing. Actress Claire Bowen was in Nashville, the show Nashville, which was in Nashville.
Yeah, I was about to say, which I actually think was in Nashville. 38.
42.
41. That's 3-2. Sports birthdays. Felipe Alou or Philippe Alou. I call him Felipe. Philippe Alou.
75.
54.
90.
Dang.
Sweet Lou Whitaker. Joe Rexroad, if you're listening, how old Sweet Lou Whitaker, baby? Former Detroit Tiger World Series champion.
With like 76, somewhere in there. Like when they won.
Why don't you guess the birthday?
Why don't you answer my damn question?
Language. Don't cuss on this show.
76.
74.
68. Tony Hawk, who was just over in Two Rivers Park skateboarding like 2 weeks ago.
58.
I'm going to go 59.
57. Chase up 4-2. Jim Furyk, the golfer.
56.
61.
55. Chase up 5-2. Final two left. Hair Metal Henry's daughter, Alyssa. How old is she today?
24.
27.
26. You're within striking range, Dr. Crane. Finally, our greatest celebrity who listens to this show, Hair Metal Henry. Today is that loser's birthday. How old is our good friend Hair Metal Henry?
Happy birthday, Henry. I'm going to say 55.
58.
Oh, at the buzzer. Chase McCabe, 55. Hair Metal Henry. Chase wins 7-3. Here's a little money for you, son. But Dr. Crane, you're in striking distance. Well done.
Good.
Congrats,
That was good.
Chase.
Happy birthday, Henry and Alyssa. Good friends for sure, and listeners to this here show. That we've had a lot of fun today. We're going to be back at it at noon tomorrow again. The lineup a little bit different this week. And tomorrow at 9 to noon will be DVD with Adam and Willie, and then us from noon to 3, and then Jake Lyman and D Mace from 3 to 6. And then on Wednesday, Rexroad and Koharski take over Jared's show, and I know they're very excited about that.
I need a QR code for all this. Keep up with it.
We'll work on that.
Hey, as we leave the show, we talk about this all the time to our guys out there. If you are struggling, going through something, I want you to talk to somebody. Please talk to somebody. Whatever you're dealing with, please talk to someone on your cell phone. You can call or text 988. Somebody's always there to talk to you. We always talk about our journeys in life. Sometimes it doesn't go as planned, but it's still your journey. It's beautiful. And if something happened to you, you'd be tremendously missed. That's why we tell you all the time that you are tremendously loved. So please talk to somebody. Know that we love you. More importantly, more than anything else in this world, God loves you.
Amen to that. Peace, love, rock and roll. Jake and D Mace next. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.